All right, let me show you a thing. We're building apps. At least devs among us, and even non-devs among us, we build apps. And the way we build apps is that we connect to APIs. APIs are the way we get data, we perform actions, we call out to external apps out there, and we communicate with them through APIs. And the cool thing about API is that they are turnkey. They allow us to save a lot of time because we get to use them to connect to something that's already out there and already work and bring that into our app. So APIs speed up building apps a lot. And there are APIs that we own, that we build ourselves to kind of allow that the way to communicate with other things. But there are also a lot of APIs in the cloud, right? Like think about Open AI APIs, weather APIs, stock APIs, or even basically your line of business apps that you use in work also have APIs. And these are APIs we don't own, right? So typically when we build apps, what do? Well, you build the apps, you test it, and it kind of works. The problem is, though, what do you do when those APIs that you don't own break? Because that's really the hard thing. Like we build apps in the cloud, and at times they break. And the hard part about that is that you cannot test it. Well, after all, you don't own these APIs. So it's not like you can call us or somebody else like, hey, guys, can you please break your APIs because I want to test how my app is going to handle when it breaks for real? Like you cannot do that. So in a way, what do? We kind of test our app, we see if it works, and then we kind of stick our head in the sand because we cannot do we're helpless. We cannot forcefully break cloud APIs. There's just no way to do it. Is there though? A while back, we kind of thought about it that has to be a better way. Like we build more and more apps connected to APIs. We have to have a better answer for all devs across the world. And that is exactly why we built this tool named Proxy. And Vesa, you mentioned already a new name. Like originally, it would start as a app that allows you to simulate errors on Microsoft Graph. Then it was like, well, Graph isn't the only thing that people use because there are SharePoint APIs, there are other APIs. So we kind of expanded to Microsoft 365, right? So that was kind of our space. But then we was like, you know what? There are even more APIs than that. There are Open AI APIs, GitHub APIs. There are APIs that allow you to send emails, SMS, and whatever. So with that, we said, like, you know what? Let's just call the thing Dev Proxy, and that is kind of the tool that allows you to simulate behavior on any API in the world. The way it works, it is a command line tool. Think about Fiddler or Proxyman or any other proxy that runs on your box, and then intercepts the calls going out of your app. So it runs now on my box. Let me do a simple call to Microsoft Graph and see if I will be able to simulate error, right? So now I'm going to call the me endpoint on Microsoft Graph, and I want to have that call to go through proxy, right? So that works. Okay, it passed through. I want it to fail. So that's kind of the interesting thing about when you do a chaos test. You never know what you get, which makes demos exciting. Okay, there you go. I got a 429, too many calls to me. Was it an actual error? No, it even says so. Some error was generated by proxy. So with that simple tool, I can easily simulate error on Microsoft Graph without affecting Graph. Graph works just fine, just not on my box. On my box, I can break it, and I can test every single edge case in my app to see how my app is going to react should, in the case of emergency, Microsoft Graph break. Anyway, so this is cool. This works. What's cool about this is that I can do all kinds of tests, and I also get, I can simulate behaviors. I get the guidance. There is one thing, though. We are in terminal, and it's pretty small, right? So if I do this call, and I will do another call, it gets a lot. You haven't seen anything yet, right? So let me show you how that would work on sample app. So I've got here a web app, and this is just a simple app that's going to show me a list of users that I've got, and then for each one their image. I don't want to do this one. Let me start Google Chrome attached to Proxy, because if I would intercept all traffic from this box through the dev proxy, I would drop off this call. So that's not something that I want to do live right now. All right, so this is the web app that I've got. Let me switch to Proxy here so that we can actually see that it's working. You will see it here. And then I will load the version of the app without the SDK, log in. I don't want to change anything. And now you can see something's happening. So there was one error here. Let me reload it a little. There you go. So we have all these requests. Let's get back to the window that I've got and look at the output. So now we have all this info about all these calls that we ran. And it's hard. It's really hard to find. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, trying to find the right info that you need, right? That is hard. And at some point we said, so you know what, again, we have to have a better answer to it, because people will use it not to do, simulate single call in curl and that works. People will use it with their apps, and their apps do a lot of calls to Graph, because Graph allows you to do so many things, right? And people use Graph a lot. We know that. So we need to have a better way for people to be able to inspect the calls that they issue from their apps. So we thought about, hey, all devs across the world use the DevTools in Chrome, right? So basically that thing when you press F12 or Command Option I on a Mac, and basically these things, right? So you can inspect your calls here, right? And when you basically reload this app, you will see all these codes here. One caveat is, though, this works only for a web app. What if you don't build a web app? What if you build a backend process or API or something else? You don't have that. So how could we use that? Is there a way for us to maybe use that as interface for dev proxy so that you can inspect basically the output that you get from us? Let's have a look at that. So let me stop Proxy. Let me go to Proxy's config. And let me do a small adjustment. Let me enable something that we have built. So now because I build Proxy, I've got all of the code here. But the one thing that I'm interested in is a Proxy's config file, which is here in dev proxy RC JSON. And in here, let me enable this new plugin that we currently shipped in the latest preview. Let me enable it. Let me set it to true. And then if I go to the DevTools plugin config section, let me change to Edge Dev, because I use that Edge Dev. I love it when things break, so I just go for all the way. So let me do that. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something else. Let me hold on a moment. Bear with me. Let me quit that thing, because I almost quit my browser, but not totally, and that would break me. All right, let's get quickly back to our config file just to double check that we've got everything okay. So we've got Edge Dev enabled. We've got the DevTools enabled. Let me close this one. We don't need it. Let me restart Proxy, and then a thing is going to happen. 3, 2, 1. Proxy starts. Come on. 3, 2, 1. You can do this. All right. We've got a thing here that says DevTools available at the this URL. If I move this window back, what do you see here? You see a full screen Microsoft Edge Dev with Chrome DevTools enabled, but they're empty and there's no browser window in here. It's just full screen DevTools, right? That's weird. All right, let me reload our app. What's going to happen? There you go. There is what do we see now? If we look back at dev proxy, we'll still get all of the output here, but we also get it here. So here we've got all of the requests that dev proxy intercepted from our app. And for each one, we can open it. We can see all of the headers that were sent, request headers, response that we got back. We can get the response that we got as JSON, as raw text. We can see all of that. What's more, if you go here to console, we see all the messages that were otherwise crammed in here in the small terminal window in plain text as objects. And in here, we can do what? We can do the things that we do in Chrome DevTools all the time. So we can filter the levels. We can find things. So we can look for 429s. We can even, and the cool thing is, even from here, you can click the icon here, and you can go back to the actual call that failed. So you can more easily go back and forth, examine the data, and see all of the output that you've got. And there is no output because there's 4 to 9 on a binary call, so there is no response there. But you can basically examine all of that, and that is really, really cool because that allows you to have a richer user experience around that, debugging your apps. And again, this is really cool because this is not only for a web app. This is Chrome DevTools for any type of app you build. Mobile app, serverless app, daemon processes, PowerShell scripts, whatever you build, whatever proxy will intercept, you will see this here. And that is really, really cool because it allows you to, again, simulate behavior on any API in the world and have that very rich experience in DevTools. So you are no longer bound to text only, which we had in 1960s, 70s, and so forth and so on. So with that, I would really encourage you to give this a try. Go to aka.ms/devproxy, aka.ms/devproxy. Check it out. Enable plugin. Give it a try. Test it. And we love to hear from you what you think. If it works already, great. If there is room for improvement, do let us know. Thank you.